What's going on to all my Foundation fans out there, and welcome back to my channel Movie Files. Elliot back again with my weekly recap, breakdown, and review of the latest episode of Foundation. We're breaking down episode 9, which was titled The First Crisis, an episode in which we see Salvor trying to save her people on Terminus, and Brother Dawn tries to escape, but only for the plans to fall through. We're breaking it all down here in this spoiler review, but before we do so, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you can get the alert for when I drop new content. If you all enjoyed this spoiler review of episode 9 of Foundation, well, make sure to like and share the review. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate the support. And in the comment section, let me know, what did you all think about this second to last episode before next week's finale? Your pros, your cons, the stuff with Salvor and Phara and Terminus. What do you all think about Brother Dawn and Brother Dusk and the escape plan and how it all worked out? Let me know what you thought, and of course what you all hope to see in the finale next week. So just jumping into my initial thoughts coming off this episode before we break it all down. If you all have been following me for this journey of covering this show, which again, for every single one of you all that tune in every single week, I appreciate every single one of you all. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. But the last couple of episodes, I think, were a little bit mixed, right? Episode 7 and 8, I didn't feel like it was just, the buildup wasn't really, the tension really wasn't working for me, right? But I haven't really necessarily flat out hated an episode or thought that the episode was terrible. And not that I think this 9th episode is terrible or that I hated it, but it just, for all things considering, this is the second to the last episode, which is supposed to set up a finale, which we'll talk about that at the end. But man, this 9th episode did not work for me on a lot of factors. Number one, as you all know, I'm not the biggest Brother Dawn fan, and not that I'm not the biggest fan of his narrative and his story. I think it's really interesting, compelling, him being different from his other brothers and the Cleons, but the performance is just not working for me. I feel like that, I don't mean to bash this young man. I can't even think of the actor's name right now, but I just don't think he's miscast in my personal opinion. So spending a lot of time with him, and not just one of them, but two of him in this episode, really didn't work for me. We already predicted that there was going to be a twist with the whole Ezra's relationship thing, which ended up being the case. But then you transition to Salvor and Phara and Terminus and the Anacreons. That story has slowly but surely kind of lost my interest as the season went on. So the fact that we spent all of the episode on those two, of my personal opinion, the two weakest plots of the story, no Brother Dawn or Brother Day in this episode, really kind of put me in a mindset of like, man, this episode did not get me excited for the finale. But hey, we're going to break it down again. Let me know your pros and cons in the comments. Let's get into it. As we open up the episode with, as we know, the show gives us a ton of flashbacks. We get another flashback here, ladies and gentlemen. And this flashback consists of young Salvor talking to her dad, which, by the way, I love this scene. I thought that it was some great dialogue, them talking about their existence, coming from Earth, the hatred between the different people and different planets. Really good dialogue here, but I just couldn't help to think to myself, why wasn't this scene shown many, many weeks ago? We got flashbacks of Salvor as a kid and talking to her dad, but I just feel like a scene like this could have been could have put more impact on his death, because when I saw, you guys can watch my review for when he died, I didn't feel his death. I didn't feel like there was enough relationship there. I didn't feel like there was enough character development to have a big impact for his death for me personally. Yeah, it's sad for someone to see their dad die right in front of them, but I just didn't, from a narrative structure, I didn't feel like the show built up that moment for me personally. So I would have loved to have gotten that type of scene that we get in this opening many weeks ago to kind of really establish that father and daughter relationship. But even taking that aside, kind of moving forward with this narrative, we see that Salvor, she's waking up on the ship at this point. We see that Phara's right-hand man is tied up, which I don't remember who tied him up, but she's waking up. She realizes that she's on, she was on a course to Terminus, like I mentioned last week. She's there, and she sees Lewis's body there, which is, again, relationships in this show, the deaths in this show have fell completely flat for me. I just don't think, number one, Lewis and Salvor, from the jump street when we first saw them, they were like butting heads, which is fine, right? You can have that, but I never felt like they were like, she had like this care for him where she sees his body and is like, oh, Lewis. I'm just like, I don't think it was established enough, but she sees his body, which leads us into her cutting to going to a familiar ship. And this is where, again, I talk about relationships. She's reunited with her boyfriend. We united, and it didn't feel good. Her and Hugo which, they go back and forth. He's like, let's run off together. She's like, no, I'm the hero. I got to save my people. He's like, okay, well, I'm a hero's boyfriend, so let me team up with you. And it's just like, I do feel like the show, and don't get me wrong, I know there's people out there that probably really are fascinated with the relationship. They love the relationship between Salvor and Hugo, but for me, I don't really care. Hugo, to me, is just kind of a plot device. I don't really feel like he's a character in the show, but I just feel like it was a missed opportunity to have, and this just speaks to the Salvor character. I don't think that character has had enough chemistry for me to have a moment where they're saying goodbye. Like, we're supposed to be rooting for them, right? At this moment, at least I'm not rooting for them at this point. I could care less. I think that should have been a moment where Salvor should have been saying bye to whether it's her lover, her parent, her really close friend, but that chemistry between her and Hugo, the lack of chemistry with any other cast member, I just feel like it's lacking in that moment. So it just kind of fell flat for me personally in that goodbye. I should have been like, oh no, Hugo, this is the last time you're going to see each other, which we know isn't the case because you can't kill Hugo and they actually team up a little bit later, but it didn't work for me. But let me know how you all felt about that moment and how you all feel about their relationship as a whole. But moving on, Salvor makes it to Terminus. She's on Terminus. She noticed that all the people are knocked out. They're not dead. They're just passed out because we all know for many, many weeks that the Vault was going to inevitably make its way to the Terminus people, which it does here. She is able to open the doors to the Vault, which appears to be a door that can maybe be a gateway to another planet. We'll see what next week offers. But as she opens the door, everyone starts to rise. Everyone's awake now. She says hello to her mom. The kids are awake. So we get all that stuff there. And this is where we see that Phara has taken over the ship of Hugo's people, and we're gonna cut back to how we wrap up the episode. But a lot of that stuff on Terminus, man, I just feel like from an emotional standpoint, a narrative standpoint, it just wasn't compelling to me. Like, again, this is the second to last episode. The Vault, the reveal of the Vault just felt so underwhelming. But again, we'll cut back to all that stuff on Terminus. But I want to talk about Brother Dawn, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking about it for weeks. I already predicted there was going to be a twist. There was going to either be the Shadow Master was Ezra the whole time, or she was working in cahoots with Brother Dusk. And it's a mixture of the two, right? Which we'll get into. But let's break it down. We see that him and his girlfriend Ezra are planning his escape. And again, relationship between those two, it kind of makes sense now that there was not that much chemistry because she was essentially acting to pretend to really care for him, but still, nevertheless, a relationship that just kind of felt a bit rushed. But we know that it wasn't really a relationship, as we'll talk about the reveal here. But Brother Dawn and Brother Dusk are having a conversation, a really interesting moment here, to say the least, because he's showing him his murals and showing him all the celebrations and all that stuff. But clearly, it's a moment that Brother Dusk is like, listen, young man, I know what you're up to. He doesn't explicitly say it, but there's enough meat there to Brother Dawn was scared after he kind of got his little fake threat from his older brother, but he's pretty much says to him, I know your secrets and I'm going to call you out sooner rather than later. So we see Brother Dawn runs to his room. The Shadow Master gathers him to say that Brother Dusk wants to see you. He escapes him by using his bracelet to kind of knock him out. We see him on the run, which, by the way, the suspense, the music, again, the visual effects, the score and all that stuff is there. And even when he's like escaping and running through the town, which reminds me, Blade Runner 2049 type of Denis Villeneuve visuals, he goes down to the water cycle. Again, the set designs, all the stuff, the production of the show is flawless. I just don't care about that character. Again, that young man is just not hitting those notes for me in regards to the emotional depth, the moment that I'm supposed to be feeling this sense of urgency from the character. I just didn't really care for the character. Again, I don't like that actor. I think I don't mean to bash him, but I think he's completely miscast in the role because I just didn't feel that urgency in this moment when he's on the run. But let me know how you all felt about it. But as we jump from him to the water cycle, we see that he makes his way underground. He exchanges his bracelet for some clothes from a homeless man. He gets a coat from him. We see that he eventually makes his way to his girlfriend Ezra, and we can see that there's something obviously off when he walks into the room, but he's like, okay, I'm here now. I'm a day early. I couldn't wait to be here. He's excited. He's like, we need to get my nanobots out before they track me. And this is where he's starting to get comfortable now, and he makes his way into the shower. He makes his way out of the shower and says, you know what, I think I've come up with a name now. And he realizes that his sweet girlfriend isn't there, and he is being betrayed. He runs away from her only to be knocked out, and he sees himself. He sees that this person has the appearance of himself, and we're going to get into this moment here as it's revealed, which I mentioned weeks ago. she was either going to be a spy, or she was going to, or the Shadow Master was going to kill her. Brother Dusk was going to be behind this. And again, it's a mixture of the two. But the big reveal is that she's a part of this group that has collected the Cleon's DNA many, many years ago, and they couldn't wait for this day to arise, even though their Christmas gift came a day early. And we see that the evil version of Brother Dawn, and we get the real version of Brother Dawn having this conversation about discussing how he's more of the fake one, is more of a Cleon than he is. He doesn't have any of the defects that he has, and they're going back and forth. And just like, you all know how I feel about this actor. The fact that we got two of them in one scene, I was just not checked in at all. I didn't feel it at all. Even when he was trying to be menacing and evil, I'm like, maybe this actor is a good actor. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else, but I just think he is so miscasted. He's not miscasted once, but miscasted twice in this scene. And I wish that this scene would hurry up and happen, because I'm not a big fan of this actor. But either way, we see that they're about to kill him, but in comes Big Brother. He saves him. They kill everyone in the room. They slit the throat of the guy. The Shadow Master's there, and we see Brother Dusk, because, he's like, oh, we're going to take her and talk to her a little bit later, Ezra, and they're having a conversation between the two brothers, and he's just like, I'm embarrassed. I'm sick of you, and we're going to judge you once our Emperor, Brother Day, comes back from his trip. So that's somewhat exciting, because you all know how I feel about Lee Pace and Brother Day. We need him in every single scene in this show, but they're going to judge him come next week. But overall, that story to me was just not a little bit. It was a lot of underwhelming. I don't like that actor. I knew the plot twist was coming. Again, it was a variation of what I said about a couple weeks ago, how it was going to play out. But to see the execution and see how it all plays out, at least in the moment. We obviously know we're going to get a finale next week, and maybe there's another twist that comes into the mix, and maybe Brother Day kills Brother Dusk, and whatever the case may be. But as it stands right now, Brother Dawn, Brother Dusk, without their Brother Day, it doesn't really work entirely. And I thought that whole scene was just, again, very underwhelming for me personally. But again, let me know what you all thought about that plot. But let's wrap up the episode as we cut to going back to the Anacreans, and they're waving their white flags in front of Hugo's people. But in comes Phara. She saves the day to everyone's surprise. Salvor makes her final plans to Phara as she wants to band together. Phara's like, no, I don't want to band with you. I don't want to work with you. I'm going to kill all of you. But she's like, you know what? First, let me take out the vault. She shoots at the vault, leaving Salvor to kill her, shooting her with her own arrow. And again, yet another death that I'm just like, and you all know, I actually enjoyed the Phara character, but when it comes to this show, how they handle and execute these deaths, it just feels hollow to me. Like I really, well, first off, she stabbed in the throat. She shot her through the throat, but they have the most, they're very technology-wise. They have the most technology, so they might be able to bring her back. We'll see what comes next week, but right now, I'm assuming she's dead. She shot her in the throat, but I'm just like, oh, Phara, bye. Oh, no, she's dead. But as we wrap up the episode, we see that a blurry figure walks out of the vault, and it's no other than Harry, saying that, oh, we got all the people here. I'm glad you guys are able to team together. Maybe we'll be able to figure this out. End of the episode. Again, you all see my thoughts on the episode. I thought it was a very weak second to last episode. The Brother Dawn secret reveal, that stuff fell flat. The Salvor, Terminus, Hugo, all that stuff just didn't really feel as compelling as I personally want to be. But we got one more episode. Gel, she's somewhere out there making her way back home to her people, to only probably find out that they've all been killed, and maybe she'll make her way to Terminus and join forces with Harry, the Anacrean, Salvor, and her people to discover the Foundation and to, make his, predictions come true. Meanwhile, we'll see Brother Day, Brother Dawn, Brother Dusk having a conversation about what to do with their brother. I don't even know why they're going to have a conversation with him, because we already know that they have another Cleon ready to go, ready to reboot and take its place. So I don't even know what the conversation is going to be had, but we're going to see what's going to happen next week, and we'll see how the finale wraps up. But hey, that's just my thoughts on the episode. Let me know your pros, your cons, your excitement level for next week's finale. Let's talk about it all in the comments. If you stuck around to this point in the video, I appreciate every single one of y'all. Before you leave, make sure, if you haven't already, to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell. That way you don't miss any of my future reviews. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other content. We'll catch you in the next video.